Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jim Houston and welcome to this fantasy booking WWE What If video. Today we ask the question, what if Stone Cold Steve Austin had never turned heel in 2001? What if he called an audible? What if he decided it was the wrong thing to do? What would the next year or so of the WWE have looked like? Would we have seen the invasion storyline? Would we have seen WCW, ECW getting involved? How would that have turned out differently? Well, if you want to know, keep watching and you might just find out. Wrestlemania X7 remains one of the most beloved wrestling shows of all time, and many consider it to be the greatest WrestleMania ever produced. It encapsulated an era of WWE that many fans consider to be peak wrestling. Storylines such as Vince McMahon versus Shane McMahon were pure WWE-style soap opera, and who can forget the pop when Linda McMahon rose from her chair to kick Vince in the grapefruits. TLC 2 was arguably the peak of possibly the greatest era for tag team wrestling in WWE history. Other matches like the Hardcore Triple Threat, Triple H vs The Undertaker, and even Kurt Angle vs Chris Benoit are remembered fondly to this day. However, the biggest match on the card, the biggest WWE could produce at that time, or quite possibly any time, was the WWF Champion The Rock defending against the Royal Rumble winner Stone Cold Steve Austin. The two faces of the Attitude Era going toe-to-toe, accompanied with what may be the best produced hype package of all time. The match was a classic, starting with an unexpected announcement that it was to be a no DQ match, and ending with the swerve of all swerves. Vince McMahon striding down the ramp, pulling the referee out of the ring as The Rock covers Austin, handing Austin the steel chair that he used to batter The Rock, and ending with the most unexpected handshake of all time, as Austin and McMahon buried the hatchet from their multi-year-long feud to stand together at the top of the WWE. However, Steve Austin himself has said on several occasions that he wished he called an audible and given Vince McMahon a stunner to close the show and send the people home happy. The people didn't want the turn, didn't really respond to the turn, and it led to a fairly lacklustre run, including the invasion storyline, one which the majority of wrestling fans would say was a huge botched opportunity. So what if Austin did call that audible? What if Austin gave Vince the finger, laid him out with a stunner and walked off with the WWF title? Well, for one, it would have led to quite the creative challenge. The top heel in the promotion at the time was Triple H, who had just come out of a blood feud with Austin, which they definitely shouldn't have revisited so soon. The Rock was off to Hollywood, Austin and Undertaker had been done several times, and both were babyfaces at the time. And what happens with WCW? Shane McMahon's acquisition of WCW couldn't be ignored in all of this. So, first things first, Raw after WrestleMania X7. The show opens with Austin, mega pop. Comes out and explains that he told everyone that he needed the WWF title, and he just did what he had to do. But that doesn't mean he wanted anything to do with Vince McMahon once he got what he needed. He outsmarted Vince, made him look like the dumbass that he really is. And of course, he's interrupted by none other than The Rock. He comes to the ring, ribs taped up, bruised, battered. He simply tells Austin that he's a coward who doesn't deserve the belt, and the two go at it. They brawl all over the ringside area, up the ramp and through backstage. In fact, as the show goes on, the two keep brawling. We cut from matches, we come back from breaks, and the two are brawling all over the arena. Until Linda McMahon interrupts them and makes a match between them in the main event, for the title. The match is another all-out brawl. They stop just short of a DQ, but not by much. Austin has the better of it due to The Rock's injuries from the previous night, but The Rock just will not stay down. He kicks out of a stunner, and another, and a rock bottom from Austin. He makes a comeback, but a rock bottom won't keep Austin down, and nor will a people's elbow. Finally, The Rock hits a stunner, and Austin barely kicks out. But the two are down in the ring when the locker room empties. All the mid-card heels, William Regal, Test, X-Pac, Albert, all of those guys, storm the ring and decimate Austin and The Rock. They put The Rock through the announce table and batter Austin with a steel chair, much like he did to The Rock the previous night. The show goes off the air with both men down and JR asking what the hell is going on. SmackDown opens with Vince McMahon. He lays into Austin, showing all of his anger and humiliation at being used by the man he detests most in the world. He says that his first instinct was to strip Austin of the WWF title, but that the board won't let him do it, and he only has 50% of the shares in the company, so can't actually override them. So he's going to make Austin defend the title on every single show until he loses it. That starts a succession of matches where the odds are stacked against Austin. He defends against X Factor, X-Pac, Albert just incredible. In a 3-on-1 handicap match, he defends against Edge and Christian in a handicap match. He faces a gauntlet of Test, Albert and William Regal. Each time he ends up coming closer and closer to losing the match, but manages to mount a comeback to get out of it with the belt, making Vince get angrier and angrier and angrier. Vince makes a match with Backlash where Austin has to defend against the Big Show, who's had a series of squash matches to help him rebuild his monster image. So going into Backlash, what do we have? We have Edge and Christian retaining the tag team titles against the Dudley Boys. We have Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit continuing their feud, which started at WrestleMania with a 30-minute Ultimate Submission match, a match which Benoit wins 4-3. We have Triple H successfully defending the Intercontinental title, which he won a couple of weeks earlier, in a rematch against former champion Chris Jericho. And we have The Undertaker versus Kane. Now, in reality, these two were beginning a run as the Brothers of Destruction, where they went up against Austin and Triple H's two-man power trip, but seeing as that's been shelved with Austin calling the audible, there's a need to create a new top heel for Austin to face, and Kane fits the bill. So he and Taker have a tag match just after Mania, and Kane turns on Taker, brutally beating him, and leading to a match here, one which Kane wins. The main event is Austin defending the belt against the Big Show. Austin's still selling the brutal schedule he's been forced into over the past month, but he manages to find a way to win, although not decisively. He wins by countout after tying Show's legs up with a camera cable. Shortly after Backlash, we have Insurrection, a UK show which was typically fairly meaningless. However, we're going to make this one a bit spicier. It's essentially a rematch show from Backlash, where Edge and Christian defend again, but this time in a four-way match, with the Dudleys, the Hardys and X Factor. Angle and Benoit have a standard singles match, which Angle wins. Triple H again beats Jericho to keep hold of the IC belt. Taker and Kane have a rematch, but this time it's a buried alive match. Kane wins, and this writes Taker off TV for a while. Biker Taker just wasn't taking off in the way he wanted it to, and we need Deadman Taker back for something later in the year. The main event is Austin vs Big Show in a last man standing match. In the week before the show, Vince berated Big Show for losing, especially the way he did, and tells him that if he doesn't win this match, he will be suspended. As expected, Austin retains, ruthlessly taking Big Show out with a ring bell and a steel chair after spending most of the match being beaten down. Now, I said earlier that we can't forget WCW, and we haven't. Shane McMahon's purchase of WCW was a major beat in the Vince vs Shane story going into Mania, and Vince wanted to run WCW as a separate show moving forward. That was shelved in reality after Booker T and Buff Bagwell stank the place out on Raw, but in this version, that doesn't happen. Vince goes ahead with the WCW relaunch, with Shane as the on-air figurehead, and a lot of the young talent sticking with it. Nothing too big happens, but some of the bigger guys who were under Time Warner contracts agree to come back. Sting, Ric Flair, Booker T, Goldberg, they're all around, they all keep the viewership decent. Coming back to WWE, on the Raw after Insurrection, Vince suspends Big Show as promised, and he announces that SmackDown will see a very special challenger for Austin. He suggests that he's given a lot of shots to a lot of people, and he's fed up with people failing, and needs to go for something just that little bit different, dropping a few hints that he's made a deal with Shane. SmackDown comes and Ric Flair's music hits. The crowd goes wild, and Flair takes on Austin for the WWF title. Austin barely comes out on top. On Raw, it's Booker T, who again falls short. The following SmackDown, it's Goldberg. However, instead of facing Austin, Goldberg spears Vince. Shane appears and tells Vince that WCW won't do his dirty work. This draws a few more viewers to WCW, where we're getting a few more taunts of Vince, and it sends Vince into a spiral. He cannot get the belt off Austin no matter what he does. He is losing control. So he decides he's going to put his weight behind a true monster. Austin at Judgment Day will defend against Kane. Now at Judgment Day, we've got Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit teaming up to win the tag belts from Edge and Christian, who are starting to get a few more positive reactions, especially after this match, which is a very, very good one. Triple H defends the IC belt against Jeff Hardy, giving him a bit of a rub, but ultimately beating him. Angle and Benoit have their blow-off match, Benoit pulling double duty. Angle picks up the win. Austin faces Kane. The match has been made no DQ, and Vince is at ringside to make sure that Kane gets the job done. Despite Kane nearly setting Austin on fire in the match, Austin manages to find a way to win once again, pinning Kane after several stunners and a chair battering, much like the one he gave to The Rock. This sends Vince even more mad, and he immediately suspends Kane, before eating a chokeslam for his troubles. The next big show is King of the Ring. Vince has been taken out for a couple of weeks, so Linda McMahon takes charge. brings in a few new wrestlers, most notably Rob Van Dam, who built some good momentum, started to really get the crowd behind him. She sets up a number one contender match between Angle, Edge, Jericho and Benoit, which Angle wins, setting him up as the next challenger for Stone Cold. At the pay-per-view, the tag belts are retained by Jericho and Benoit. They have a great match with the Hardys. The King of the Ring tournament ends up with semi-finals of Triple H versus Christian and Edge versus Billy Gunn. Edge ends up facing Triple H in the final and wins clean. Edge is pretty much the cool babyface at this point. He's getting great crowd reactions. And then you have Austin and Angle. They wrestle in the main event. Again, it's an excellent match. Vince at this point has returned and he tries to recreate the Montreal Screwjob. Austin is in the ankle lock, but Linda cuts him off. Not going to happen. Austin picks up the win. Ends up with a low blow, keeps Angle fairly strong. Official's got his back turned, doesn't see it. Stunner, picks up the victory. Next up we have Fully Loaded. Now, in the real world, this was the show that became Invasion, but we're not going down that road. Notable matches at Fully Loaded include Edge and Christian. They've got quite a bit of tension since Edge won the King of the Ring, has been getting a lot of plaudits. Christian's clearly showing a lot of jealousy, very much what happened in reality. They face Jericho and Benoit for the tag belts. Jericho and Benoit force Edge into a Walls of Jericho crossface combo. Christian just stands and watches. Edge taps out. Christian comes in and lays an absolute beating on Edge. Culminates, again like it did in reality, with the first one-man concerto. We also see Triple H defending the IC belt against RVD. Becomes the second up-and-coming younger guy to beat Triple H in consecutive pay-per-views. Triple H putting over some of the younger talent. And RVD takes the Intercontinental Championship. The main event is a rematch with Austin and Angle. This time, excellent match. Austin wins clean. Stands tall at the end of the match, but there's a bit of a hubbub in the crowd. Something is happening. Some buzz is really coming through. Austin turns and sees three men climbing over the barricade, dressed in black and white. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. The NWO is here in WWE, and they absolutely brutalize Austin. They lay into him with weapons, they all hit their finishes, they tear up the ring canvas, jackknife powerbomb onto the exposed boards, spray paint NWO across his back, and throw up the too sweet as the show goes off the air. Now on Raw the next night, we get a version of Vince's promo that he cut when he first introduced the NWO in reality in 2002. He's going to inject a lethal dose of poison into the WWF and kill his own creation. He's truly been driven mad by Austin and everything that's happened around him, by being thwarted by the board, by being thwarted by Linda McMahon, by every single thing that he's tried to do failing, and Austin always managing to come away with the WWF Championship, and this is the result. He is bringing in the NWO. He knows exactly what they're going to do, but he's there. It's the end of his tether. So we go into SummerSlam with the main theme being NWO versus everyone. We do get a lot outside of this. This isn't just taking over everything. So we get Edge versus Christian, which gives Edge a big win. We get RVD defending against Triple H in a rematch. Triple H has had a few interactions with the NWO, some hinting that he's going to join them, some hinting that he's going against them. We're not really sure, but he seems keen to stay out of the way of things for now. RVD retains in that match. We then have Hall and Nash taking on Jericho and Benoit. They win the tag belts. It's certainly not clean, but the NWO get their first gold as Hall and Nash hold up the tag belts. And the main event, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin defends the WWF title against Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Absolute dream match, the one that a lot of people wish had happened that never did. Here we have it, main event of SummerSlam. NWO interference, of course. Hogan beats Austin, celebrates with Vince, only for Eric Bischoff to appear at the top of the ramp with a big grin and an NWO shirt on. Next episode of Raw, there's tension between Vince and Bischoff, but Vince kind of lets it go. The NWO has done what he wanted, and they've even taken Austin out for a while. Vince is in a good mood, so even Bischoff saying that, well, the contract says NWO, and he's part of it, doesn't set off any alarm bells. Also on that show, Hogan celebrates his title win. We get the return of The Rock. He's back from Hollywood. He challenges Hogan for a match at Unforgiven. The match is set, title on the line. At Unforgiven, RVD defends the IC title. Great match against Kurt Angle. RVD picks up another big win. Triple H faces Edge. The NWO's kind of talked him into it. Hall and Nash have been just moving him into needing revenge against Edge. Edge manages to get the win. Triple H just shows a lot of frustration. He's not where he wants to be. He's being manipulated by the NWO. Something needs to change. We also get the Tag Team Championships. Jericho and Benoit try to get their rematch against Hall and Nash. Unfortunately, they fall short. Hall and Nash retain. And then Hogan against The Rock in the main event. The Rock definitely has the better of it. Is about to win the match, only for the Big Show. NWO colours, the Big Show comes out, distracts the referee. Hogan lands a low blow, hits the leg drop, retains the belt. On Raw the next night, Vince is angry. He suspended the Big Show after he couldn't beat Austin. He doesn't want him back. But Bischoff reminds Vince, hey, the contract says the NWO. Big Show's in the NWO, so here he is. Vince does not react well to this. Bischoff has outsmarted him. Vince is not happy. So he decides he's going to fire the Big Show. He's just going to get rid of him. That's that. But Bischoff tells him to hold on. He says he wasn't planning on revealing this card yet, but when Shane went to buy WCW, he had to sell his shares in the WWE, and guess who bought them? It's essentially the Ric Flair, the consortium was me angle, but Bischoff instead. And this leads to Big Show to grab Vince around the neck, land a chokeslam, and the NWO beat Vince senseless. They whip him with a belt, they attack him with weapons, they all end up taking turns on him. Vince is done. Vince is gone. NWO disappears, Triple H comes charging out along with Stephanie McMahon, and they escort Vince's stretcher out of the arena. The NWO want no part of Triple H. Now we come back to WCW. They've been ticking along in the background, that's still going. The next show, we see a meeting with Shane, a number of the senior guys. Ric Flair's there, Booker T's there, Scott Steiner, Buff Bagwell, several others. And Shane is rallying the troops, saying he's leading them to WWE. We're fighting against the group that nearly killed WCW. The NWO made their lives hell. He's going to go with them. He's going to go to the WWE, and they are getting rid of the NWO. They nearly killed WCW. Hell, they nearly killed Shane's own father. Now, over the weeks leading into No Mercy, the WCW guys appear, but Bischoff uses his new control over the company to just steer them away from the NWO. He doesn't want to build that NWO-WCW thing right now. We also see the return of Deadman Undertaker. He uses his powers to trap Bischoff and force him into giving him a match against Hogan. Austin also returns, saving The Rock from a beatdown from Hall and Nash, so that leads into No Mercy, which ends up being a pretty big show for a B show. We have Ric Flair facing Kurt Angle in a match where Angle sneaks a win. RVD successfully defends the IC belt against Chris Jericho. Big Show faces Booker T in a match where Bagwell and Steiner come out to seemingly corner Booker, but they end up siding with the Big Show and joining back up with their old pals in the NWO. The three of them beat down Booker T, only for another WCW guy to come in and make the save. It's Goldberg. Goldberg is here to fight against the NWO. Triple H and Edge have a final match to end their feud. Hall and Nash come out, they help Triple H win the match without him realising it's happened, and they celebrate with him, but he brushes them off. He is not interested. He leaves them standing in the ring, and they're just staring after him. What the hell? What's going on? Hall and Nash then go to defend their tag belts. They are facing The Rock and Steve Austin. Absolute superstar team. Rock and Austin batter Hall and Nash, but Hall and Nash manage with a lot of cheating, underhand tactics to manage to get the better of them. In the main event, Hogan against Undertaker. Somehow Hogan manages to come out on top because of another returning wrestler, another one suspended by Vince McMahon. It's Kane. He's got his way back into the WWE by Bischoff inviting him to join the NWO. He joins, beats The Undertaker, Hogan gets the win, and that's that. So the NWO now stands at Bischoff, Hogan, Hall, Nash, Big Show, Kane, Bagwell, and Steiner, and they are pretty much running the show. We get to Rebellion. It's another UK show which doesn't tend to amount to much, and again, NWO versus everyone. We do have Angle against Flair in a submission match, a match where Angle wins, and Edge finally being the one to take the Intercontinental belt from Rob Van Dam, but the rest of the show is very NWO focused. We have Scott Steiner against Booker T, Steiner beats Booker, we have Goldberg versus the Big Show, Goldberg picks up the win, and the main event is Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Kane teaming to face Steve Austin, The Rock, and The Undertaker. Austin, Rock, and Taker just can't seem to get on the same page. They're all desperate to get their own revenge. They've all been wronged by members of this team, and they all want that revenge. They just can't coexist. Nash manages to pin The Rock after he and Austin almost come to blows. The Rock, Steve Austin, and The Undertaker at the end of the match, they're in the ring. They're all incredibly pissed off with one another. It looks like it's about to blow. But out comes Triple H, separates them and says, NWO, it's time that you faced proper united opposition. You need to get what's coming to you. He says the next big show is Survivor Series, 5-on-5 elimination match, the NWO versus... And at this point, Undertaker, Rock, and Austin go to stand with him, but Triple H holds his hands up and says, no, it's not going to be you guys. You'll never get on the same page. But Triple H says, well, I know a few guys who will. I know a few guys who certainly will come together to face the NWO, and that is D-Generation X. Now, the excitement over this match is huge. Triple H, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, X-Pac open Raw the next night to formalise the challenge. Bischoff agrees, but says, hey, there's only 4 of you in that ring. You're one short. Triple H says, no worries. I'll find someone. And over the next couple of weeks, the build to the 5th member hits up. There's various hints, there's various teasers, who it might be. And finally, on the Raw before Survivor Series, DX line up opposite the NWO's team of Hogan, Hall, Nash, Big Show, and Kane. And Triple H introduces the final member of DX. None other than Shawn Michaels. Okay, it's a bit earlier than his real 2002 return, but let's just say he gets clean earlier. He's back in ring shape by now. On SmackDown, Hall and Nash defend the tag belts against the Hardys. Michaels with a distraction. Sweet chin music to Nash. Cost them the match. The Hardys win the tag belts. NWO are pissed. We also, over this time, have the explosion of Rock, Austin, and Undertaker. The 3 all want the NWO. They keep getting in each other's way. They just cannot be in the same building together. So a triple threat match is made at Survivor Series. And actually, this match opens the show. What an opener. The Rock, Austin, Undertaker. They have an absolute barn burner of a brawl. The 3 of them just all around the ring, all around the ringside area, just beating on each other. Austin picks up the win, but it's really all about just releasing that frustration and tension. After the match, out comes Eric Bischoff, has all of them escorted from the building, says, no. The main event, NWO's crowning moment, and you 3 are not going to get in the way of that. So all 3 of them have been removed from the arena. We then have tag titles, the Hardys against Steiner and Bagwell. The Hardys pick up the win. Edge defends the IC belt against Kurt Angle. Beats him, only with a roll-up. Angle's a bit frustrated with that. We get to the main event, 5-on-5 elimination tag match. And it starts off and DX have X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Triple H and Shawn Michaels aren't tagged in yet. Goes on for quite a while with no eliminations. It's a bit back and forth before Kane finally manages to catch Road Dogg with a chokeslam, gets the elimination. Shortly after that, Hall eliminates X-Pac. Now Billy Gunn battles back, he does his best, nearly eliminates Kevin Nash, but the NWO managed to get on top of him. He gets a few hope spots, but there's the big build to that hot tag. Trips and Shawn are desperate to get the tag, but they're pulled off the apron, the tag's made and the referee doesn't see it, all the usual spots. Just as Billy finally manages to get across to make the tag, Triple H and Shawn Michaels pull back their hands, and instead they throw up the Too Sweet, the sign of the Clique. They enter the ring, they attack Billy Gunn, tear off their DX shirts, and on goes NWO Black and White. The match does not even finish, as the show ends with the Clique standing tall, throwing up the Too Sweet alongside Hogan, Big Show and Kane, and Bischoff is just standing there with the biggest grin on his face. He promised the NWO's crowning moment, and by God did he deliver. Come to Raw the next night, NWO all come out and they cut the smuggest of promos. Bischoff announces that he's decided the next pay-per-view, we're going to rename it to Starrcade. It's time for a true NWO takeover. Now, as the night goes on, Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, all jumped backstage, all left in a bloody mess. In the main event, Kane and the Big Show face Goldberg in a handicap match, leave him lying in a pool of blood as well. All 4 of them taken out. Next episode of SmackDown, who comes out but Shane McMahon? Calls out Eric Bischoff and says, enough is enough, we need to put an end to all of this, you have ruined this company for long enough, and I am taking it back. He says, I'm going to challenge you, we're going to deal with this. And Bischoff says, no, I'm not going to do anything stupid. We're in control here, and I'm not going to relinquish that for anything. But he says, hey Shane, you want a match? I'll give you a match. At Starrcade, you're going to face Kane. We get to Starrcade. Triple H and Shawn Michaels face the Dudleys. The Dudleys have called out Triple H and Shawn in the back, betraying the WWE. Triple H and Shawn pick up the win. Michaels kind of easing back into in-ring competition. He does a little bit, but Triple H gets most of it. Shane versus Kane is short, it's brutal, it's an absolute dismantling of Shane McMahon. He's left in a bloody mess just like the others. Goldberg, Rock, Austin, Taker, they haven't been seen since being decimated by the NWO on Raw. The NWO have taken out all of their top competition. We also see Edge defending the IC belt against Kurt Angle again. Great match. Edge wins it clean. Angle offers his hand. They shake hands. Angle raises Edge's hand. Show of respect. Turns Angle babyface. Hall and Nash face the Hardys. They win back the tag belts. Hogan defends the WWF Championship against Rob Van Dam. He puts up a plucky effort, but he can't overcome the odds, he can't overcome the numbers game, and the NWO end the show, all standing tall. There is no one left. So we go into the Royal Rumble, the start of 2002, and that's exactly what Hulk Hogan says. He's beaten everyone. Everyone who might get a shot, he's beaten them. He's beaten Austin, he's beaten The Rock, he's beaten The Undertaker. He says there's just simply no one left. So out comes Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle makes a challenge. That ends up as the title match for the Rumble. And Angle comes incredibly close to beating Hogan. He even gets that visual tap out while the referee's down. NWO shenanigans, Hogan manages to retain. In the Rumble itself, the NWO dominate. Hall, Nash, Triple H, Shawn, Steiner, Bagwell, Kane, Big Show, they're all in the match. They all enter one after the other in the teens. They take out everybody else. Hall and Nash are the first two. They do have a bit of trouble with the Hardys and Dudleys, but ultimately, all 7 of them in the ring, everyone's gone. And the next few entrants, they come in, they get toyed with for a while, and they're tossed over the rope before the next one comes in. Rinse and repeat. Finally, there are 3 guys left, 28, 29, 30, with all 7 NWO guys. Number 28, lights go out, gong hits. The crowd goes wild. Undertaker appears in the ring and is striking every NWO member that he can. Austin and The Rock both charge down the ramp as well. They're not waiting for their numbers to be called. It's time to clear house, and that is exactly what they do. Everyone other than Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Kane are gone. And the 6 of these guys battle. Both sides are united. Rock, Austin, and Undertaker have fought together, side by side. They know they have to coexist against the NWO. Kane manages to eliminate The Undertaker, but Rock and Austin then get him over the rope. Michaels hits Austin with Sweet Chin Music, thinks he's eliminated him and celebrates, but just like Michaels once did, Austin holds on, back in the ring, throws Michaels out. Triple H is then left with The Rock and Austin. He manages to get rid of The Rock, and it comes down to Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And these two have a great mini match. The crowd really get behind. They are desperate for Austin to pick up the win. Both men nearly get the elimination, but neither is able to finally finish off their opponent. However, Austin finally gets on top, hits a stunner, gets Triple H on the ropes, and is throwing him out when Hall and Nash straight back into the ring, break it up, beat down Austin. Triple H eliminates him. The winner of the Royal Rumble 2002, Triple H. Now we build to No Way Out, and the NWO are still their insufferable, smug selves. Hogan says the main event of WrestleMania, it's going to be another finger poke of doom. Bischoff sets up Shawn Michaels to face Edge. He wants the Intercontinental title in the fold as well, and everything flows for the NWO. However, a couple of weeks to go until the show, out comes Linda McMahon. She's back on WWE TV after a long time away, surprises Bischoff and makes an announcement to say the board have decided that we need to take some action in the best interest of the company because this is not what people want to see. She announces several matches for No Way Out which anger Bischoff and the NWO. No Way Out, we see The Undertaker versus Kane one more time. Taker picks up the victory, gets one over on Kane after being beaten by him, eliminated in the Rumble and suffering for such a long time. After the match, as Undertaker stands there, kneeling in his pose, down from the rafters is Sting. The last big WCW name who hasn't come across yet. He comes down, him and Undertaker, face to face. They set up that dream match for WrestleMania 18. Shane makes his return. He faces the Big Show in a match where we also see another big return. Both men down. Big Show starts to get to his feet, and we hear, "No chance in hell." Out comes Vince McMahon. Big cheers, save Shane. The two force the Big Show to back off. take a count-out loss, and Vince and Shane stand tall in the ring. Hall and Nash face the Dudleys. They retain the tag belt, something going for the NWO. Shawn Michaels has his first singles match. He faces Edge for the IC belt, and he wins. He picks up the belt. He brings it into the fold for the NWO. Semi-main event, after what happened at the Royal Rumble, Linda and the board have given Stone Cold the chance to face Triple H, the chance to get his shot at WrestleMania. Several WWF guys surround the ring. They don't allow any NWO interference. They beat back everybody who tries to come in. Austin beats Triple H. Stunner, 1, 2, 3. He's going to the main event of WrestleMania. In the main event of No Way Out, Hulk Hogan faces Kurt Angle in a rematch. Angle made him tap out in the last match they had. They're going to face each other one more time. But this is utter chaos. The match barely happens. NWO all come down. WWF guys all come down. Massive brawl. And the show ends with the brawl still going on. JR is shouting, "This can't continue. This can't go on. Someone has to end this. By God, this is enough." So on Raw the next night, down comes Vince McMahon and he says to Eric Bischoff, "Enough's enough." He says, "We both own 50% of this company and we will never be able to work together. Let's put up guys for matches at WrestleMania. Whoever wins the most takes full control." And Bischoff, just like he did with Shane, he laughs at Vince and says, "I'm not that stupid. I'm not going to do it. The NWO controls this company. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you think you can do. We're in control." But as we go through, Vince just blocks everything Bischoff tries to do. Bischoff tries to set up a match to advantage the NWO. Vince evens it. Bischoff tries to give Hogan an easy ride. Vince puts him in a match. Finally, we have Vince and Bischoff in the ring together. Lights go out. Undertaker, Sting. They're building up to their match, but neither have any love for Eric Bischoff or the NWO, and they back Bischoff into a corner and they force him to agree. It's on. At WrestleMania, there are 7 WWF versus NWO matches. Whoever wins the most, they're in control of the company. So here's how it goes. We have Sting and The Undertaker. That's a separate match. That's not anything to do with this, but hey, we want to see it. Sting and Taker face each other. Taker gets the win to carry on the streak. First match, NWO versus WWF. Shawn Michaels defending the Intercontinental Championship against Kurt Angle. Absolutely incredible match. Shawn picks up the win, gives the NWO a 1-0 lead. Ric Flair joining on with Team WWF. He wants to help take out the NWO. He faces Scott Steiner, picks up the win to make it 1-1. Shane and Vince then team together. They face Eric Bischoff and The Big Show. The match is going to be awful, but hey, it's WWE. We've got to have something soap opera in here. Shane and Vince face Bischoff and The Big Show, and they pick up the feel-good win. The McMahon family celebrate together, all 4 of them, giving the WWF a 2-1 lead. Then we have Goldberg and Kane. Short little match, brawl. Kane picks up the win, tombstone to Goldberg, levels it up at 2 apiece. We then have the tag belts. It's a 4-way, 2 NWO teams, 2 WWF teams. Hall and Nash, X-Pac and Bagwell representing the NWO, the Hardys, and a reunited babyface team of Edge and Christian. Edge is getting beaten down by the NWO. Christian comes and makes the save. The 2 of them reunite, and they pick up the win. It's a feel-good Edge and Christian back together, babyface tag champs. WWF lead 3-2. Semi-main event, Triple H versus The Rock. The Rock has Triple H beat so many times, but Triple H pulls out every single trick he possibly can. Ref bump, sledgehammer, interference, NWO draw level as Triple H pins The Rock. As it was always going to, it comes down to the WWF Championship match, the main event of WrestleMania 18, Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. It is a red-hot crowd, and this match is just absolute soap opera. So much interference, so much drama. Austin picks up the win, stunner to Hogan, pins in 1, 2, 3. WWF have the win. NWO is finished. Vince McMahon is back in control. And at the end of the show, Vince comes down to the ring to celebrate with Austin, offers his hand, the 2 shake hands, the 2 share a beer, and to bring it all full circle, Austin, middle finger, stunner, stands tall with the WWF Championship. WrestleMania goes off the air. Austin as WWF Champion. Vince McMahon in control of the company. but defeated once again by Stone Cold Steve Austin.